Yes, CI 2017. This is going to be primarily what you're going to see. It's going to be some talking. Maybe we'll get someone out here who's a little bit better at talking than I am, and we're going to have a nice little sermonette from Pastor Scott coming up. So where we're at again, no scores have come in. Okay, score came in. The score of the quiz we just saw. We already knew the result of that. So we have we're still devoid of any other scores, but we are soon going to be down to 6 teams in Division 2 and 7 teams in the Elite Division. Someone wants to talk to Mr. Lofgren. I don't know. Mr. Lofgren is right there. I don't know if he's willing to talk or not. His team did just lose. And I think he's more interested in eating his lunch than talking to me. I would be too. I mean, lunch is very important. Talking to me is very unimportant. So I will see if we can get someone from Falls. I don't see. Is Mr. Van Gelderen? All right. We're going to try to find Mr. Van Gelderen. One of the 3 teams without a loss is Athens, and here comes Calvin. He's a member of Athens.
Yes, I am.
He's claiming to be a member of Athens. That's quite a claim. All right. So yes, Calvin. The question is: Are you surprised at how well your team is doing?
No. We're supposed to be doing our job, and we're doing it. So.
He came in very business-like, so he is ready to claim that you're. So, what do you think? Kettle has been the team of the tournament so far. What do you think it's going to take to beat Kettle?
Not making stupid mistakes and errors. Mostly just, getting a word or our words on questions instead of jumping up on reference and getting nothing, and being smart on when and how to jump and on toss-ups.
All right, there you go. There's Calvin's there. I have said before, I think Athens is the most intelligent quizzing team. They always quiz smart. You can go eat lunch. We'll quit bugging. All right, it has been said that I have a face for radio, but maybe we can get Mr. Van Gelderen, who has a face for television. Oh, we can do either, but probably better if you sit. Okay. That way I don't have to stand, and I'm lazy. Okay, we only have one microphone, so if you want to be heard, I'm going to have to hand the microphone to you. They didn't tell me to ask you anything. They just wanted to see you. But tell us, your team came in as the 9th seed, I believe, and you're one of the last 3 teams without a low. What was the switch that happened?
Good question. Well, I think a lot of it was I have several quizzers that are, at least one that's brand new to CI, 1 or 2, and there was some inexperience last night with how to approach quiz masters, and we just had some things last night that weren't real smart that we did, and really they learned to depend upon the Lord for that wisdom in the jump. I was just encouraged. They've really shown some tremendous poise, some tiebreakers, and it's been a blessing to go our way. So.
Yeah, and I know nobody listened to my preview, but the 2 out there that did, I said what happens is when you have a team that's not as experienced but has a lot of talent like your team, a lot of times they benefit from all the round-robin quizzing, and you guys have done that perfectly. So very good job on that. So congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's been fun. So.
And I don't know if you've known anything about your Division II teams, but one of them doesn't have a loss. They're quizzing right now, and the other one just got a loss, and they're going to be in the top 6. Knowing a little bit about your Division II teams, I think that's probably less of a surprise.
Right. That's correct. The level of competition this year seemed to be a little bit lower in Division II, and we're just thankful that we have 2 teams that are in the top 6. And I know our one team right now is struggling in the room downstairs, but they still have a shot at it, so we'll see what happens.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Go get something to eat. All right. There we go. We finally had someone on who actually has a face for television, which is always a good thing. We are starting to get some scores. We got in the Elite Division, Pleasant View 2 was eliminated, so it looks like they're 8th place. The middle from that quiz was Temple, and FBCLB is going to get the bye with their high win. So there are 7 teams left in the Elite Division, 3 of them without a low. Falls, we just talked to their coach, Kettle, who is the team of the year right now, and then Athens, who I have pronounced to be the most intelligent quizzing team. They never beat themselves. Those 3 teams without a low. 3 teams with a low that are going to be quizzing Temple, Heritage, and PVKY 1. And then a team who has already inserted themselves into the top 6 with a bye in the losers bracket, FBCLB, First Baptist Long Beach. That's where we stand in the Elite Division. Where we stand in Division 2, we have, let's see here. All right, Woodside is the middle. We're down to 6 teams, it looks like. And the high, Faith, Michigan got the high, Woodside 1 got the middle, and Abilene got the low. That's Quiz J. So we still don't have the result from the top 3 teams in Division 2, the Falls Avalanche, Kettle, and McQuantico. As we always like to say, 3 teams from Wisconsin come all the way to Colorado to quiz against each other. It's always fun. So we have 6 teams. We know who the 6 teams are. That's the Falls Avalanche, Kettle, McQuantico. 2 of those will not have a low. We don't know which 2 yet. And then we have Falls Blizzard, Faith Michigan, and Woodside 1, who have inserted themselves into the top 6. All of them have a low. Okay, those who are requesting Mr. Lofgren is politely declining because he wants to eat lunch. And honestly speaking, talking to a coach immediately after their loss is always not the most fun thing. I know no one wants to talk to me after a loss. Of course, unlike Mr. Lofgren, my losses happen so frequently, there's almost no other way you can talk to me. So it's a little bit different. But, yeah, Mr. Lofgren has a really good team, and they did really well. And they got their first low, but they're still in it, and they are going to be in a quiz. Now, neither of these quizzes will be seen on CITV, so hopefully we're going to get someone up here who will talk with me and be able to dialogue about some of the quizzes going on. So there's a long break from actually seeing quizzes that we're going to do. And so, but that's, we have Faith, we have Kettle, Athens, Falls, no losses, Heritage, PVKY 1, and Temple with a loss quizzing each other. Neither of those quizzes will be seen on CITV, and FPCLB is in the top 6. So, good day for them. Tell Caleb Dowdy his Sunday school teacher wants to see him in an interview. That may or may not be possible. I know the students, whereas coaches we can steal away, students oftentimes have restrictions on what they're allowed to do because they're supposed to be going towards the auditorium, where soon there will be a sermon by Pastor Scott that we'll all be able to participate in. So that I would love to get Caleb Dowdy in trouble with you. However, I may not be able to. He may not be able to join us on CITV. So just don't dock him on a Sunday school grade yet. Maybe we'll tell you if he's difficult, but right now, yeah, just don't dock him yet. Let's see what we got going on here. Okay, I still don't have that final score. Do we know what's going on in the quiz? And well, I see Mr. Post in there, so I know that quiz has happened. So somewhere we should have the score. So let's see if we can get that score. The score has not come through on our feed, but hold on. I will ask Mr. Poston. The last quiz that was in your room, how did that play out? FPCLB? Okay. All right. Well, that is okay. All right. Our information was incorrect. It's actually Pastor Massingale's room that we need to see, and I don't see him in here, so it's quite possible that quiz is not done. So, so there we go. Anyway. All right, let's see if we have another question. No. All right. All right, they're debating how long ago someone won a tournament of some sort, and that is what it is. Thank you so much for joining us here on CITV. We are down to the point where we have 6 teams left in the Elite Division. or 7 teams in the Elite Division, 6 teams in Division 2. So that's kind of where we're at. We are seeing what we can do. Okay. All right. Did you want to say something? We have a member of the 10th place team right here who wants to talk with us. Top 10 team. How's it feel to be a top 10 team?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. All right.
You don't mention there were only 10 teams.
I didn't mention that, but now you have.
Okay.
All right. This is Nacho, America's favorite co-host on BibleQuizzer.net's podcast. Nacho, what do you think of the tournament here? And just give us some thoughts on the tournament here and that.
It's very fun, and it has some of the best teams in the country, so it's very competitive too.
It is very competitive. And just to give you an idea, we are Faith, Fern Park, Florida. We got 10th place, which is last place, and we don't like to claim that, but it did happen. A team now left without a loss, Falls. Now, last night we quizzed against Falls and beat them by a number. Now, I'm not suggesting we're a better team than Falls. That's not what I'm intending to do. What I'm saying is that even the last place team is a competitive team. Both of our losses, one came to question 19, one came to question 20. We were in both of those. In fact, in the last loss, we were ahead, and if we don't have 3 fouls called on us, we go to a tiebreaker question. So it's frustrating, but again, not trying to make excuses, not trying to say anything else, just trying to tell you about the depth of this tournament we have here, the depth of the teams here. If someone's never been to CI, what would be your words of encouragement to get to? Would you tell them to come? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would definitely tell them to come. It's very fun, and it has good food too. So if you like to eat, then come.
I like to eat.
I also like to eat.
Well, yeah, and the food is good. I have partaken of some, and just the kitchen staff does a wonderful job. So, if you are home and you are not at the tournament, which I guess just about everyone watching CITV is at home, or not here, I should say at least. I would encourage you when your friends get home and that are there that you're watching here, I encourage them to write a letter, send a letter to Woodside care of the kitchen staff, and just thank this kitchen staff for a wonderful job. I know I never send letters anymore, and the 50-cent stamp to put on it is cost prohibitive, and I get that. But just if we can send something, that's something that they could put up, and they don't hear me right now, so hopefully you will. But, yeah, they do a wonderful job, and everyone here appreciates it. It's good food. It's plentiful. It's available. And as a resident Fat Guy, I like food. So, anyway, Nacho, I've talked a long time with you sitting here. Haven't let you put in anything. Is there anything you want to add?
Well, this tournament is, as I have said, it's very competitive. So even the team that finishes last still has a chance, to get higher than they do, because all the teams here are really good teams. It's not like there are a few good teams, a couple mediocre teams, and then a few bad teams. It's it's more of all good teams.
Yeah, and the teams here are good, and that's why we say this tournament is a grind. You're quizzing good teams all the time. There's no quizzes you can take off, which means even if you got the minimum 8 quizzes, which we did, even if that's what you have, it's still, those are all 8 very, very competitive quizzes, and that's a good thing. It's fun. I say if you're a Bible quiz fan, this should be a bucket list item. Get yourself to CI before it's all said and done. And the score of that last quiz hasn't come in yet. I wished that it would, but we're looking for the score in Pastor Massengale's room. Don't have it yet. Hey, hold on. Pete, I assume the quiz in Pastor Massengale's room is still going on? Okay, it's still going on, so there's a reason we don't have the score yet, because it's not over yet. But just really, really good. It's 10th place, Faith, Fern Park, Florida. 9th place was Woodside. 8th place was Pleasant View 2. These are good teams. These are really good teams, and so every team is good. And even going down to Division 2, there's 6 teams left, and those teams are all good. They're all good. They're competitive. And as I said earlier, you got those teams from Wisconsin. The Wisconsin teams in Division II are amazing. Not that they're not good in Division I, because Kettle's the top team in Division I, and I think that's clear. And we said last night on our Friday review that their floor was third place. They weren't going to finish below third place no matter how poorly they did. But, I mean, they're great. And Falls is – 2 of the last 3 teams without a low are from Wisconsin. So Wisconsin is continuing to establish itself as the best and deepest state in Bible quiz, which pains me to say because I'm not from Wisconsin, but I think that's the case. All right, I see a way to go, Nacho. Are there any new teams at CI this year? Yeah, we talked about this in the preview. Let's get the list of teams and talk about how many years they've been here. In the Elite Division, there aren't really any new teams, I don't think. You had Falls, Faith, Athens, FBCLB, who was not here last year, but they came 2 years ago. So they're new.
But they're not new, but they weren't here last year.
Yeah, they're not really a new team. Yeah, they have been here before. And you got Heritage, Pleasant View, Kettle, Moraine Temple, Woodside. All of those teams are veteran teams. But as we go over to Division II, there are more. Well, we'll just go through it. Abilene, this is I think their second time coming here. Faith, Michigan, they came over 5, 6, 7 years ago in the Elite Division. This is their first time being in Division II, and they're rebuilding that program, which is fun to see. So that's I would consider Abilene and Faith, and then Tabernacle. This is their second time coming, and Abilene, it's their third time coming. I apologize. Their third time coming in the last 6 years. And Tabernacle and Faith, Michigan, both of their second times coming. Tabernacle came last year. Faith, Michigan came several years ago. So what were you saying? Do we know who's doing the best? Well, right now is the quiz of the last 3 teams below. It's the Avalanche, Kettle Moraine, and McQuantico. So, okay. We just got word from someone who saw the score that they were going to the last question, and Falls is down 10 points to McQuantico. And I assume then that Kettle is got the high. Kettle's got the high, and it's coming down to McQuantico and Falls for the middle. And McQuantico was 10 points up on Kettle going into the last question. So when that quiz is over, the auditorium will start to refill, and we'll be there. So, Nacho, I know you've been sitting here for a while. Is there any words of wisdom you want to impart to people before you leave and we get someone else there?
Well, and just to show how competitive it is, Temple, which is one of the best teams, they took a low, and Temple's a very good team. Like, they're not bad. So that's like every team here is good, and really anybody could beat anybody.
Yeah, well, he says anyone can beat anyone. Maybe if you eliminate Kettle from that argument, you get a little bit better of a point there. But, yeah,
It's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, Kettle's going to be good to beat. And for those of you who did not hear the Friday review, Saturday preview that Mr. Post and I did last night, one of the things we said is he was like, Temple, it's not that they're inexperienced. It's not that they're not mature enough. But he's like, I just can't put it. They're just not up there. And I said, well, they're just not Kettle. Kettle is, they're if you took their top 2 quizzers off, Kettle could still contend for the title. So it's not to say they can't be beat, but it's
going to be hard. I say that Kettle will win.
Yeah, that's going out on a limb there, Nacho.
No, not really.
All right. Falls got the middle and McQuantico got the low. So we got word in Division II. So we now not only know who the 6 teams are, we know how they're going to be positioned. So we've got in Quiz K after lunch, it's going to be Kettle, Falls Blizzard, and Faith Michigan. And we have Falls Avalanche and McQuantico and Woodside 1 in Quiz L. So those are your top 6 teams. The 2 teams without a low are Kettle and Falls Avalanche. The 4 teams with a loss are Falls Blizzard, Faith Michigan, McQuantico, and Woodside. So like I say, teams from Wisconsin come to Colorado to quiz against each other. It's always fun. So, okay. So that's where we're at. There's not much more we can add to where we're at. Nacho, do you want to go see if you can talk Mr. Poston into joining us here?
Okay.
All right. We're going to see if we can get Mr. Poston because he is a fan favorite with his. I see on there someone said sad to see New Mexico isn't there this year. Always sad when ministries don't participate in the same way.
He says he'll join us when he's done eating.
All right, Mr. Poston apparently wants to eat, as strange as that may seem to those of you out there. So we'll see if we can get Mr. Poston. Can you get me an ETA on that sermon by Pastor Scott? Go ask Pastor Jono when that's going to be. All right, so we want to let you know our theme for this year, Romans 12:1. How does that go, Prissy? Okay, that was really good. Now I'm going to hand you the microphone. Say it into the microphone.
I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service.
All right, this is Prissy, who just said those verses wonderfully. Look at the camera, wave, say hi to everyone. All right, one of the top quizzers in Division 2.
Yep.
All right, go get some food. All right, thanks. That was Prissy Fuller, one of our favorites here at CI2017. Did I just say that Falls Blizzard is without a loss yet today? If I did, I misspoke. Falls Avalanche doesn't have a loss. Kettle doesn't have a loss. Falls Blizzard, McQuantico, Faith Michigan, and Woodside are all still in it, but they all have a low. So if I said that, I apologize for that misspeaking. Tony says bounce back McQuantico. They're in a position to do so. They're quizzing Falls Avalanche, Woodside. They can certainly win that quiz. That would be a great thing. Just great competition there in Division 2. It just so happens that all the good teams are from Wisconsin. So that's, step it up. If you're from a state other than Wisconsin, if you're from Wisconsin, then, good, bully for you. But the rest of us, we need to step up our game to reach that level that Wisconsin Division 2 has accomplished. And it's not that they're holding back from their top teams, because 2 of the 3 teams without a low in the elite division are teams from Wisconsin. So we have established the fact that Wisconsin is right now the best state. Do we have an ETA on that sermon? Okay. All right. You can go with Peter and find. Okay. All right. We're trying to get you an ETA on that. Okay. I see someone is on Wisconsin. I don't know if that's if you're just bragging about being the best state. I've already stated that you are. Don't make me keep going on about it. But look, we're going to be talking about Wisconsin. There are 6 teams left in Division 2. 4 of them are from Wisconsin. There are 3 teams left without a low in the elite division. 2 of them are from Wisconsin. All I can tell you is Wisconsin is representing today. Wisconsin has been the best state if we're going by state. Now, that doesn't mean they're necessarily going to win, and there are teams out there who like to see them lose. The third team without a low in the elite division is Athens. I don't think Athens is the most talented team. I've said that from the start. But I said on our review last night, they are the smartest quizzing team. Athens has not beaten themselves. And when Calvin came by here and we talked to him a little bit about, hey, what do you think? What's going on? One of the things he said, we're doing our job. Do your job. It reminds me of another really, really good team. Just do your job. And Athens is doing their job. They did their job at the New Year's Classic. They're doing their job today. I don't know if they're necessarily going to win, but I know that if they continue, they're not going to beat themselves. And there are better teams out here, and they may get a low to one of those teams, but they are not going to beat themselves. And that's something important when you're talking about Bible quiz, because good teams don't beat themselves, and Athens has established themselves as a good team. They graduated 3 people last year. We thought it was going to be a rebuilding year. And they've rebuilt themselves right into second place at the first major, one of the final 3 teams without a low. So it's a program that is to be reckoned with. So, Athens a really, really good team. Let's talk about what it's going to take for each of the 7 teams left in the elite division, what it's going to take for them to win. So we're going to start with a team that's already in the top 6. They have a bye in this round, FBCLB. I don't think any team has as many fast jumpers as FBCLB. What the key for them is going to be getting the questions right when they get up on 50-50s and continuing to get up at the right time and not get up too fast. Okay, it looks like we have another 20 minutes till the message, so that's what that is. Okay, Temple. What's it going to take for them? Grant's got to reestablish himself as the best quizzer in the country. Before New Year's Classic, he had established himself. If he reestablishes himself and he takes that on, then they can win this tournament, and that's what it's going to take for Temple. You got to have a really, really good day from Grant. You can get supporting cast help from Carson, Kirsten, and the rest of that team, but you cannot. If Grant does not establish himself as the best quizzer in the country, they're not going to win the tournament. Okay, what's it going to take for PVKY 1 to win? Man, I said coming in, I thought they could challenge for a top 3. I didn't know if they would. On our review last night, Friday night review that we did, I said they were the most impressive team to me. Again, taking aside Kettle, who I think is the favorite and is the best team. So saying that, I think Pleasant View was very impressive last night. They've been impressive today. I think they have a good chance. Their best chance is going to be that they, just like everyone's going to be hard pressed to beat Kettle. I think the key to them winning is Isaac. Johnny Sanders has established himself as their best quizzer today, which I would not have guessed coming into the tournament. I think Johnny has been their best quizzer. But Isaac, if Isaac can do what he's capable of, he can be the X factor to get them that championship. Next team, Heritage. What's it going to take? Similar to what it's going to take for Temple, except instead of substitute Grant, humility. Humility's got to establish herself as the best quizzer in the country. And if she does, and she can, they can win this tournament. That's what it's going to take. What's it going to take for Falls? They got to continue to quiz smart. And like we had Mr. Van Gelderen on here, and one of the things he said is we were an inexperienced team coming in, and we got that experience last night, this morning. These new quizzers learned what it's going to take in a big-time quiz, and now they're doing it. If they can continue to do it, they have depth. To me, coming into the tournament, I thought they were a little bit of a less experienced version of FBCLB. They have twisted that around in the playoffs. They are a team who can go out and score 200-plus points in a 3-team quiz. FBCLB can do that, and Falls can do that. Those are 2 teams that are really, really potent, can do a lot. Athens, what's going to take? Their struggle is going to be 2-team quizzing because they're driven by Calvin and smart quizzing. Calvin can get you 6. That's 120. That's not enough to get close to a win in a 2-team quiz. Now, if you listen to me on BibleQuizzer.net, the podcast, you know I feel like the rules for 2-team quizzing change enough. We need to alter those more. That's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen this year. It probably won't happen for the next several years if it ever does happen. But with the rules as they are, I think they're going to be hard-pressed to win in a 2-team quiz, especially if that second team is Kettle. Their best chance to win this tournament is to get Kettle 2 lows before it comes down to a 2-team quiz. Because while I would say most teams have an advantage in 2-team quizzing against Athens, none of them have as big of an advantage as does Kettle. Kettle, what's it going to take for them to win? Just don't blow it. They have 4 of the top 10 quizzers in the country on their team, and they don't even have Daniel Fuller. I mean, the depth of that team right now is astounding to me. They have Olivia, who I think has been their best quizzer in this tournament. They have Boogie, who I think is the most talented quizzer I've ever seen. They have Hannah, who's a great quizzer who's being overshadowed on her own team. And they have Jonathan Swaffer, who, as I am told, is their math major on the team. So, anyway, they're going to be tough to beat. All right. does East Troy have a team? I don't know what that means other than is there a team named East Troy? But, yeah, I don't know of a team named East Troy. Maybe that's code for something else that I don't know. I'm looking off to my producer on the side trying to get word of wisdom, and he's just like, hey, you're on your own. Go at it, fat man. Just go. So that's what it's going to take for each of these teams to win from the Elite Division. Those we talked about, all 7 teams. What's it going to take for them to win? The obvious favorite is Kettle. Kettle has come away. Nothing they have done in the last 2 days has changed the position that they're the best team in the country. In fact, it's been fortified. If you thought Kettle Moraine was the best team coming into this tournament, they are definitely the best team now. Now, we know the best team doesn't always win. We know that. But they are so good. Last year we had Athens, who was a generationally good team, one of the best 10 teams or so of all time. Kettle can reach that this year. They're that good. No one else is going to be a generationally good team this year. Kettle might be. If they can put 5 quizzers, and they don't have Daniel here, but you get Daniel, Boogie, Hannah, the 3 Fullers, you get Jonathan and Olivia, put those 5 on a team together. Those are 5 of the top, 10 quizzers in the country. I mean, it's like putting together an all-star team to go against everyone else, and that's what you got. So you have a really, really good. You got a really, really good team that's going to be very difficult to beat. Having said that, that's why we play the games. That's why we actually quiz instead of just saying, oh, Kettle looks really good, let's give them the trophy. Kettle is very good. They are the best team, but the best team does not always win. And those other 6 teams we talked about, they're tough. I think Kettle wants to see no part. If Kettle gets to choose who their opponent is a 2 team, they do not want to see Falls. They do not want to see FPCLB. They're better than both of those teams, but those are teams that are deep enough to get multiple quizzers to get questions right, get up first in a 2-team quiz against Kettle. And I don't think Temple or Heritage or Athens have that. So you're saying to me, if you're Kettle, who do you want to quiz? To me. Whom do I want to quiz? If I'm them, I don't want to see FBCLB and I don't want to see Falls. I'm better than both of those teams, but I'd rather go against a team that may be better than those teams in a 3-team quiz. But the rules change enough in 2-team quizzing that I think you got to look at the fact that teams that are 1 quizzer reliant, like those 2 teams, like your Athens, like your Temple, like your Heritage, those teams are going to struggle more in a 2-team quiz against Kettle, who, even if you took off their best 2 quizzers, would have 2 of the best 3 quizzers in any quiz. That's really what you got to look at. So if you're Kettle, to me, that's what you want. The reason Falls and FPCLB scare you is because they can get up before you more often than those other teams with more different quizzers. Now, all it takes is 2, 3, 4 questions in a row where they get some 50-50s right, things fall their way. That's what it's going to take to beat Kettle. In a 3-team quiz, that doesn't kill them because you can still go for the middle, and that's just as good. But in 2-team quizzing, it does matter. So anyway, that's what I'm saying. All right, a question to any former quizzer watching. What do good quizzers do over lunch? Well, the good quizzers are going to have to watch the sermon, is my understanding. They're going to be they're already being funneled into the auditorium as we speak. They're going to be required to do that. So that's what they're going to do. But right now, we have a lot of them are eating, and those who have eaten have been told to go into the auditorium. So that's where we're at on this. So again, does anyone have a question for me? I don't really know that I can add anything to what I've already said, which is unfortunate because here I am talking. We're hoping to get perhaps... Sure? Yeah, okay. So, I always try to eat a good lunch and focus on something else. I always have my mind a break. Yeah, I think that's good wisdom there, Connie. I think that's good. All right, apparently Mr. Poston is going to join us. That's always a good thing. Mr. Poston, we're down to 1 mic, which means I'm going to hand it to you and just shut up. which everyone else will appreciate. So, do you have thoughts?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is the food here. The food here is phenomenal. I feel like if you're not here, whatever y'all are eating for lunch across the country, is you probably need to just fly out for the lunch and then go back home.
Okay. What do you think about the tournament?
I mean, I heard Faith Fern Park, they just came basically for the food.
We certainly didn't come to quiz.
Hey, I can't make jokes about teams who get last because I'm sure you've mentioned Athens from 2 years ago was ranked number 1 in the nation, and we were 14th or whatever the lowest number was.
I hate to burst your bubble, but you got next to last.
Oh, it was next to last?
Yes, sir. You got out at the same time, but since you were the higher seed, you got next to last.
Oh, so by technicality, we were not last.
Listen, when you're battling for last, you take whatever you can get.
So I'm being told the challenge will start in 5 minutes, but Lorch is just now getting his food, so they'll probably not start without him. They've been trying to get him right with God for years. But back to the quiz. I tell you, you know what I'm most impressed by? The amount of times kids jump when they absolutely should not jump, but get it right.
Well, maybe they should be jumping, and we just don't know the text as well as they do.
Yeah, well, I tell you, when you say win in Romans and they get it right, you got to wonder, have they seen the questions?
I don't know. I got a question for you, and I posed this question at your Kettle Moraine, top team in the country, best team out here.
Somebody's eating cheese curds.
You
probably shouldn't even tell us that.
They're definitely from Wisconsin because no one else eats that garbage. All right, now, okay, I said Kettle Moraine, top team in the country. You get to the final 2. Which team do you want to avoid, or teams do you want to avoid?
I think if I'm in the finals, I would prefer to not see Temple.
Okay.
I think the main reason for that is they have the one quizzer I would be most scared of. And when you're down to 2 teams, one quizzer can't beat you. But they have just enough firepower spread out over the other seats that it's not like you're just quizzing a one-man team.
All right. Well, here was my theory, and now you're going to rebuff this. I said I don't want to see FBCLB or Falls. They're better than all the teams, so we're not avoiding anyone because we don't think we're as good as them. The reason I want to avoid them is because both of those teams have multiple quizzers who I know can get up before me multiple times, and if it takes the quiz out of my hands to a degree, and that if they get lucky in a couple 50-50s, they get stuff. Whereas against a Temple, a Heritage, or a Athens, they have one quizzer that I think can beat me consistently, and I don't fear that as much in a 2-team quiz.
Yeah, he'd be a rebuttal to that. And yes, we've had Culvers, and they are great, but cheese curds, you can hold the curds and just bring the cheese. The 2 teams you mentioned, I think, have flaws, okay? The first flaw for First Baptist, what you said is true. But First Baptist, they're a team, okay? They're a team. Chairs 1 through 4 in my room at any given time could get the next question. 5's been not as contributed as much, but there's 4 quizzers there who I've seen win the initial in crunch time. Even Chair 2 getting some right in crunch time. So, yes, you're right. But there is a lack of experience there. Chair 3 a few times has given too much information. Pretty much everyone in the room, some people that were grandmothers who've never quizzed, but have been around quiz enough, just the experience, they knew, wow, that can't be right. And so there's some inexperience there they're going to have to fight through, you know. And then I think eventually that catches up to you. And then Falls, I'll keep saying this until it's no longer true. Falls is kind of that combustible thing where when the fire is right, then they're hot and unstoppable, but it can get too much, and then you just implode, and the errors become crazy, you know. And so if I'm picking a team that I'd rather not quiz against, it would be Temple for those 2 reasons, because I think the inexperience of First Baptist would catch up to them, and I think the error in a pressure time, I'm thinking Falls may be in error trouble, and we'll take it slow and believe that they're not going to get lucky 14 times, you know, in a row.
Well, I don't disagree with you on either account. I just think when you're the best team, you're better than Temple, and you're better than Falls, and you're better than FPCLB. I want to quiz the team that it would be most out of character for 5 initial jumps to come from someone other than Grant and get a win that way. It would not be unusual to see 4 different quizzers get up first 3 times for FPCLB, and then the quiz is out of my hands. Like, we're the better team, but they get lucky. I think other teams getting lucky is how Kettle's going to lose. So I want to go against the teams that are less likely to get lucky.
So are you implying that Tennessee's not talented and prepared enough to beat Kettle?
I'm implying that nobody is talented enough to beat Kettle.
Okay, and I would say Temple could. I think they have it with them. I think Athens. I heard you discussing Athens. And I think most people have kind of overlooked them. And at some point, you've got to say they got second in Athens for a reason.
Smartest team in the country.
One of the last 3 teams with no loss. There's a reason.
Look, I think Athens. And I went through each team and said, what do they got to do to win? I think Athens, what they need to do to win this tournament, is get into the final 2 with Kettle not being the other team.
Well, I just say we're overlooking them because we've discussed these 4 teams as it relates to the finals, and we leave Athens out. And Athens is that team where if First Baptist runs into the inexperience, crunch time gets them, Falls runs into the 12 errors, that's going to happen eventually. I mean, they're going to have 12 errors in a quiz. And Athens is that team that may just be lying there in the weeds, and boom, you're there at the end, and each team has no line. It's a repeat of Athens. You get there to the end, and you've got Athens and Kettle.
Yeah, and that wouldn't surprise me. In fact, if you asked me to pick, that's how I'd pick it.
You would pick Athens to be in the final?
I'd pick Athens to get second, yeah.
I think it would be the shock of the year so far if Kettle's not one of the last 2 teams. That would just shock me.
Man, probably. Look, Kettle, everyone else is quizzing each other. Kettle's quizzing history.
Well, they're going to go 4 for 4 if somebody doesn't stop them.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they go 4 for 4. I just don't. I think there's 2 things that can stop them. They quiz stupid, or someone gets really lucky.
An interesting thing to note is a quizmaster told me just a few moments ago, Priscilla, the youngest Fuller, I believe her name's Priscilla.
I call her Prissy, but yes.
Okay, Priscilla is in Division II, and that quizmaster opined that she would contribute right now. Their team would be stronger if she were on Chair 5. Not saying that they should have put her on Chair 5, but just to show you the strength of their program right now. They're the undisputed best team at the moment, and they've got more quizzers in the pipeline that could be contributing right now on that team.
And Daniel's not here. They're like I said, everyone else is quizzing the other teams. Kettle's quizzing history.
We could make a pretty good team of kids who are not here this year that I was hoping were here, from Jesse and Kentucky and now Daniel, and I'm sure there's 100 other, but I mean even from ministries that are here and some of the kids that didn't make it with those ministries. That's some pretty good firepower out there.
Yeah, we won't even count people who don't show up on my team.
You have about 14 or 15 people on your roster at each tournament, and 5 or 6 make it.
Hey, when we have 5 make it, that's a good day for us.
Yeah, if you throw in a Terrell and Jesse and the Fuller who's balling out somewhere probably on a basketball court, then yeah, we'd have a pretty good all-star. We'd have a second all-star team.
Yeah, say thoughts on all-star quiz. To me, this is the all-star quiz. Put together humility. No, this is the all-star quiz. I'm telling you what it is. It's humility, Calvin. Let's see.
All of Kettle?
No. Well, I'm getting to that. Humility, Calvin, Grant. Who are the next 2? Anthony from First Baptist, maybe. You put together the next 2 best, and they quiz against Kettle.
That'd be. Kettle has to win with no losses before you get into that kind of territory.
Best teams don't always win. They're the best team.
It's true.
There's no doubt. They're the best team. But the question, that's why we quiz the quizzes. The best team doesn't always win. All right, it's my understanding that we're about to go into the sermon. I'm being told by at least one producer here. Let's see what we got. All right, they're setting up. We're going to give you that picture. So Mr. Poston has left to go hear the sermon. So it got me. Theme for the year was Romans 12:1, which we had Priscilla quote for us earlier, or as a lot of us like to call her Prissy. That and it is true that's Kettle team is really, really good. And to me, I think, again, and I've said it like 12 times now, so I'll say it, maybe once more. Everyone else is quizzing the other teams. Kettle's quizzing its history. No other team has the chance to be labeled a top 10 team of all time. Kettle does. They're really good. And it's my understanding Olivia's the only one who's graduating. No, Hannah's graduating. Olivia's coming back. So they're graduating Hannah. They could go on a 2 or 3 year run of just greatness. And as good as some of the other teams are, I don't think they're good enough to stop them unless Kettle just doesn't quiz their best or you just get lucky. We have kind of overlooked Division 2, and so I see a Go Maguanago, and so we'll just, once again, but one of the two teams without a low there is Kettle. And you got Falls Avalanche without a low, and you got Falls with lows, the 4 teams with a low, Falls Blizzard, Maquanago, Woodside 1, and Faith Michigan. So we have a really good allotment of teams that are there. He has walked into the room to give the sermon, but apparently we're still a few minutes away from it. But yeah, if you're asking me what we should do for an all-star, you put together the best 4 quizzers and best 4 or 5 quizzers and have them quiz against Kettle. And I still think Kettle may win. They may be favored at least. They're really, really good. And so anyway, I had a couple questions coming into me. Someone said I'm struggling to follow who is doing well. Again, the short answer to that is Wisconsin. 6 teams left in Division 2, 4 of them from Wisconsin. 3 teams left without a low in the Elite Division. 2 of them are from Wisconsin. Wisconsin is really doing better. So if your team is from Wisconsin, do well. We need to pause 10 seconds for station identification, and then we're going to give it away to Pastor Jono.
We have the privilege of hearing from Pastor Craig Scott, the senior pastor here at Woodside.